What's happening, everybody? This is a really weird feeling for me, and normally I have my microphone and lights and all that stuff, but I'm at a hotel in Bangkok right now, and hopefully the sound is okay. I think it should be fine, but I tried to find a mic here multiple times on the streets, and I got this one, and I don't think it works. So it was 200 baht, $6, and I just, yeah, it doesn't really seem to work. So, but I see some comments loud and clear. So thank you guys. We got some cool news today, and you know how much everyone liked having some of the guests of the team on last time. We got 2 members of the team coming on today. So let me bring them on one by one here. First, we got Ryan. Say hello, Ryan.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me on.
I want to just tell a funny story about how Ryan joined the team. Do you know what I'm going to say, Ryan?
I do not. Waiting to hear.
So basically, Ryan messaged me on Telegram out of the blue, and basically something along the lines of, "Dude, what are you doing? Your community sucks. Like your managing sucks. Like you can do it so much better. You do it like very blunt and aggressive." And I wasn't sure if he was just trying to be a dick or if he was, if he was being sincere. And so we talked about it for a little bit, and then I basically passed it off to Jessica, and then we ended up bringing him on. So. Maybe that's a little story for some people. What Ryan did is took initiative. It took a very bold and aggressive approach that maybe wouldn't work for everybody. But, for us at Paid Network, where we like to listen to our community and, if it makes sense, it makes sense. And in this case, it did. And now, Ryan joined the team, quickly, skyrocketed through the ranks and has been invaluable member of the team so far. So, just a cool little story for anybody listening. People want to get involved in crypto, and this is how Ryan was able to do it. And now he's an integral member of our team. So welcome, Ryan, to the AMA. And next we got Sasha. So
hey, thanks for having me, Kyle.
No worries, hey, man. Ryan. So Sasha came on our team not too long ago, to help out with some of the lottery process. The lottery has been manual, and we were doing. Nick, who was doing it before, was getting really overwhelmed, and so we brought Sasha on because Nick and Sasha have this. Some might say unhealthy, but I think it's quite healthy relationship, or like love for Excel spreadsheets. I think it's awesome. And Sasha also took, initiative because he loves data and analytics. And, so he's in his free time, and this is how, as a CEO and, if you guys are interested in understanding like how people, are able to move outside of their initial position and prove valuable and kind of move their way up the ranks. Sasha in his free time, so he didn't take time away from what he was supposed to be doing, but his free time, he started looking at all the data and analytics and building some really cool information for us. And now Sasha is head of paid business intelligence. And it's a really cool department that we recently launched, and that's why I brought him on tonight to talk to you guys about that. So welcome, Sasha.
Thanks for that intro, Kyle.
For sure, man.
Appreciate it.
Maybe let's hear the flip side of the coin, guys. Like, what if I told everyone the perspective from my seats. Look at you guys coming into the organization. I just always like to encourage people to get into crypto and do whatever they have to do it. So I'd love to hear, like, Ryan, we'll start with you, but like, what was your thought process? Like, why paid? How did you reach out to me? These kinds of things. I can't hear you. You're muted.
Good catch, good catch. Yeah, I think it's really good to talk about because this was brought up on one of the previous AMAs, like how to get into crypto, how do you get involved, how do you start working with crypto companies. For me personally, why I chose Paid was just the team behind it. I look at a lot of teams within crypto, and this was a strong team. I saw you guys had a good management, a strong eye for crypto, and you've been in this for a long time, so a lot of experience. The reason I got in, I did see that entry point was communication was a little bit lacking, and I don't think anybody would disagree within the company or in the first few IDOs, especially after I think it was blind boxes. Communication was lacking, but we really picked it up from there, and it's been amazing since. So I saw an opportunity. I got in touch with you through Telegram. I think you maybe left me on red for a little bit there, but I was persistent. I messaged you again. You guys were looking really busy, looking like you needed hands on deck, and I just don't think you had time to be able to. I know your inboxes these days are just like thousands of messages. So I was persistent, and it's worked out in the end, and I've now joined an amazing team.
Cool, man. Thanks. Thanks, and we're like really, really, really happy to have Ryan. He's just been incredible. Someone that definitely goes above and beyond. And in fact, I'll tell you one more funny story about Ryan, because he's been all over the place. Ryan is the type of person that will go out of his way to get the full picture of something and look for ways to improve things by understanding totally what's going on, and just kind of try to build that map in his mind of the entire picture, and then seeing how we can improve it. We also learned some lessons of compartmentalization of our Google Drive. So we got one day I came into work and there's all this complaining about how Ryan was going rogue, and he had been scouring through all the Google Drives, and a lot of the team was
they weren't
really
happy
about this, and it is concerning if someone's doing it because they want to be just snooping or be nosy, whatever, right? But knowing Ryan a bit of time before this, like I was quite certain that that wasn't the case. He was actually going in there to add value. So anyway, that's just one more funny thing here. Okay, cool. So let's dive into it. We just had a dev meeting yesterday, or day before yesterday, and the biggest piece of news that came out of the development meeting was that we are very, very close to having the paid dApp launch. And this is like version, I guess we would say version 2 of the MVP. So it'll be, I'm pretty sure it's on BSC. It is on BSC, guys, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's integrated. From what I understood, it was integrated on both. But you can see BSC already on the demo, which was released when we did the bug bounty. So it's been up there for a little while. Not many people know that the V1 was already there, but V2 coming soon.
Yeah, so it will. Obviously, it's not the whole vision of paid dApp, which would be on the on the Parachain, and we'll have dispute resolution and things like that. But it is something extremely usable. It's basically DocuSign on chain, and the fact that it's on BSC, gives us really what we really needed was very, very cheap transactions. So, that if myself and you want to enter into an agreement, we can just use the paid dApp, sign it on chain, and that's done. And I think this is going to go extremely well within the crypto community. People I would think would much rather use this than DocuSign or something. And so we're very, very excited about that. I'm going to let Sasha come in for a little bit and tell you about the paid business intelligence division. And so Sasha, take it away.
Yeah, for sure. So the birth of this division kind of came out of the amount of data that we were collecting from all the IDOs and the project launches. We started to realize that, in this modern world, data essentially is currency, right? And it's being used as a way of currency. And we have so much of it from all these launches, and we're trying to figure out how we can look at this data in a different way and do something differently from other launch pads and stand out a bit, do something that's never been done, but try and optimize or improve things and make a better user experience for our paid token holders and participants in these projects and lotteries. So we're looking at a number of different factors. We're looking at a bunch of different data, not only on chain, but also user submitted data in the form of word of mouth marketing. How did you hear about us? We're looking at whitelist data. How enthusiastic are our participants in participating in these whitelists? And we're trying to get a better idea of the engagement of our community. How interested are they in continuing support for paid? How interested are they in holding paid tokens throughout the duration of these project launches? And we're seeing some really interesting stuff. We're starting to see a lot of really cool behaviors from our community and a lot of loyalty that seems to be paying off for these token holders. So very enthusiastic about expanding on this work, but it's just starting to get some legs. We're just starting to get this department rolling, and I think we're doing some really exciting things that are going to benefit not only Paid Network, but Master Ventures as a whole, because we have a number of different projects launching in the future.
Sasha, do you think that you could go over some of the use cases for the business intelligence, like that that people can understand, like why are we dedicating so much time to this, and how is that going to add value to paid? And maybe you can tell one example of something that we've learned already that was surprising or very interesting for us.
Yeah, of course. So, you know, the business development, I'm sorry, the business intelligence department is going to be a support group within Master Ventures that's going to be involved in the different aspects of the Master Ventures umbrella, whether that's marketing or business strategy or business development itself. So we're looking at a number of different bits of data to see how we could benefit each of those different departments. For example, we're looking at token holder data. We're looking at the enthusiasm that we're seeing for our whitelists from our community. We're looking at data that's coming from the different marketing communities such as Telegram. We're looking at YouTube. We're looking at Twitter and trying to figure out what people are interested in. One of the interesting things that we looked at was the enthusiasm of whitelisters from our first IDO through the most recent one. And what we saw is that within a first 10-hour period of a whitelist launch, the number of participants, the number of people that go on and whitelist has increased 7-fold. So on the first IDO, we had, let's say, 1,000 people. As soon as that announcement comes out on social media, 1,000 people in the first 10 hours goes in whitelist. Because of the quality of projects that we're finding, the quality of projects that Kyle and his team are looking at, and that the quality of projects that are bringing the value, we're increasing enthusiasm in our community. And we're seeing that from that 1,000 people, we're now seeing 7,000 people within the first 10 hours whitelist. It's insane how much people are dedicated and how much they have for enthusiasm for whitelisting, and not only for projects, but whatever we have coming down the pipeline. And these guys are glued to their phones, looking at Telegram and Twitter, waiting for an announcement to come out so they can hop on the next project. It's super cool.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Sasha. Okay, guys, there is a project. You know, one of the things that we do, you know, one of the reasons that it made so much sense for us to launch a launch pad was because of our deal flow, and you know, we right now, like starting the past, I guess, 3 weeks, we've really slowed down on other people's deals because we have a lot internally, you know, supporting different teams. And you know, and Ryan, again, with taking the initiative, saw you know, something that we needed, and that the crypto space needed, and you know, basically came back to us with this deck of a project that would add a lot of value to paid. And so Ryan, without, you know, going into the entire marketing deck of the project, maybe you could talk about what it is at a high level, and also how you know, this project will help, you know, the community for paid, and other launch pads and maybe a couple other crypto projects as well?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so the project was born out of, I guess, identifying needs within Paid Network to grow its ecosystem and see how there was collaboration between projects like Substrate, and the Polkadot ecosystem is obviously the goal where we're heading to. And they have a great ecosystem, interoperability between projects, development of projects through their grant support systems and everything. So from a high level perspective, this project is based on providing a smart contract archive of audited basically code that people can deploy their own dApps or specific pools, liquidity pools, and so forth on. And so the benefit here to paid token holders is just an additional use case. The more paid utility within the ecosystem, the better it is for all token holders. And yeah, that's what we're trying to look at doing now, is increasing that utility from projects that are participating within our launchpad and seeing how else they can utilize paid just beyond the smart agreements that we're also coordinating a lot of those partnerships with.
So how will integrating this project on Ignition, for example, what might that do for participants? How can they how can they use it?
Okay, so probably one of the biggest examples we've seen within the community is paid pooling. So at the moment, there's a lot of group collaboration between strangers online, basically trusting each other to do the right thing and pool their tokens together to earn additional Galaxy tickets. So something like this would allow users to sign up to a platform, arrange an agreement with each other, and deploy a contract to basically pool those tokens and participate in Ignition with it. In a
trustless, decentralized method. You don't have to trust anybody.
Awesome.
Right, that's cool. So, we plan on, of course, integrating this into, Ignition, Ignition China, and Apollo X, and also seeing if other launchpads would like to use it as well. And then Ryan, can you give like another example of a different type of platform that's not an ideal launchpad of how they might use it?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a couple of projects that are basically interested in liquidity provisioning, liquidity aggregators. And so again, this would allow users to deploy a token for liquidity farming purposes. And so like for comp or, like these yield apps, basically, you can provide liquidity to them and earn an APY reward. And this is essentially that same thing, but you're cutting out that, that business from taking up, cutting out that percentage, that they're taking off your yield. You're basically the boss. There's no middleman here. You're deploying the contract and interacting directly with those liquidity providers.
Sweet.
Thanks, Paulo.
Okay.
Ryan, getting some loving.
Yeah, appreciate it. Feeling very validated right now.
Yeah, right. Pat yourself on the back, brother.
There you go, Sasha. There's one for you too.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
And yeah, so there was a comment in here somewhere about layer 2 Polygon, and guys, I have no idea if we're even going to use Polygon. We have been talking to them, but we also have been talking to Metis DAO, and another thing that we're working on internally is the paid ecosystem, and maybe we'll get Mark on here next week to talk about the architecture of the paid ecosystem, as we just assigned Mark ecosystem architect. So that's the architecture of the ecosystem is very important. One of the reasons that we believe we can successfully be a layer 1 blockchain using Substrate is because of our ecosystem. It is very big, and we want to add value to everybody that comes in the paid and master ventures ecosystem. A perfect example is we understand that Ethereum is expensive and slow, and we understand that Ethereum IDOs should be on a layer 2 solution, but we do not have any type of vested interest or aligned interest in seeing Polygon succeed. We invested in Metis DAO, and we believe the technology is sufficient. And, we were able to work out a deal with Metis DAO saying, hey, guys, we've got a great idea. Why don't you take your developers and help us put Ignition on Metis layer 2? So that frees up our dev time, so it can be done quicker. And it makes sense for Metis DAO to do it because they've got an opportunity for a really good use case to demonstrate how the quality of that layer 2 on Ignition. You guys all know what Ignition is like, on the Ethereum layer 1. And so this would be a great example when it's working properly to be able to demonstrate to people, look what Metis DAO has done. And now you have a popular platform like Paid that is using their infrastructure and it's working well. That's a tremendous validation for the project. So, our ecosystem is important, and we want to respect and honor the people that are in the ecosystem and support them the whole time through. That's our value proposition to the projects when we speak to them. Like, you're coming in our ecosystem, we're going to help you out with our resources, our network, things like that, and use your technology when it makes sense to do so. And I did see a question in here somewhere about Paid layer 1, Paid chain, and I'll get back to that question in a minute, but I want to just carry on this thought here with the ecosystem. For those who haven't seen it when I announced the Paid chain news, we believe that, Ryan or Sasha, do you guys have that? I know it's a little outdated. Do you have the Paid ecosystem infographic somewhere?
I don't on hand, but it is a little bit outdated, but it's big. Like you mentioned, with our deal flow, we have a lot of projects coming through, connections with various other projects. Master Ventures is making a lot of investments in some of these projects that aren't even necessarily launching on Ignition, right? So, our ecosystem is growing much further beyond what a lot of people see just on Ignition. It's good to bring up that point. I think if somebody from the marketing team might be on here, they could probably link it in chat.
Yes. If someone is watching from the team, please do send it to me, my Telegram or something. But yeah, so we have this, this huge ecosystem that we're creating. And when you see on Twitter or whatever, these, I got it. When you see on Twitter these,
that was quick.
Yeah. When you see on Twitter these ecosystem charts like Polygon or Solana, it's impressive, and you're like, wow, they're growing really quickly and they're being used quite quickly, and so do we have any idea when this one was?
Yeah, I mean, this is over a month ago now, probably a month and a half, 2 months. A lot of these projects, that we're coordinating partnerships with, have signed up to use the Paid dApp. They're not even public on any of this yet, so I know that's more in the business development side of things. But yeah, there's a lot in the pipeline that's yet to even be announced.
Yep, let me just load it up here. So okay, here we go. Yeah, so share screen. All right, here you go. So you can see, like, this is, I mean, it's quite good, right, for a project that launched, just almost 5 months ago, and really what we're going to start focusing on is these, getting commitments from these dApps to build on Paid chain. We already have quite a bit from the incubation that we're doing. I will tell you the names of these projects right now. They won't mean much to you right now because we haven't released websites or decks or anything yet, but we've got one called Fluid, Trickle, Clip. We got the Paid dApp, Ignition, Paid Network Asia, Apollo X, and then we you guys are pretty much the only ones who really know about it. We haven't made any press releases or anything yet, so we will make sure that we start pushing that from our incubation perspective. And some more good news, guys, that I almost forgot. So we have, well, I don't want to jinx it, but it looks like it's pretty much good to go. We have House of DAO launching July 1st in Phuket, Thailand, on Coconut Island. So this is really, really exciting. So for those of you who are sick and tired of being in lockdown and living in a place where people are still crazy and have masks on their face and blah blah blah, we will put up some really, really cool and fun promo videos. Probably in the month of July once we move in there. If anyone saw my Twitter, there was that little video of the giant unicorn and some of the team in there getting, sailing away and then having to get rescued by the captain. So, but we're really excited. And the reason I bring up House of DAO, well, that's obviously massive news. And yes, of course, you can use paid at House of DAO. But we will also start doing cohorts of incubation, and we are going to create an ecosystem fund for paid chain. So so basically, just the same way that Polkadot does Web3 grants, we'll be doing paid chain grants for those who want to be building on paid chain. And probably, if you're going to be incubated by House of DAO Master Ventures, more than likely, if it's a dApp, would be a requirement to build on paid chain as well. So I'm just really excited about it because, and you guys should be as well that are watching this on a regular basis, the subscribers and the people who tune in, so you get the news first, because it's just enormous news. We're now in the same, we're in the same category as things like Solana, Polkadot, Ethereum, Cardano. Sure, their technology is far superior to what we have right now, but Substrate makes it so you don't have to have that, because actually, maybe that statement was a little bit false, because Gavin Wood and the Parity team built Substrate, and it did take them as long time to build that, and that's what we get to use out of the box. So our blockchain will be built by basically Parity and Web3, and we get to use that. That's the beauty of Substrate. So that makes me really, really happy and really excited. One more thing I want to talk about too, real quick, is an interesting fact. Sasha, are the amount of lottery tickets for each paid IDO approximately 55,000 still?
That number has just been increasing over time. Like we're seeing just a greater interest of people. Like the first IDO that we had, we're talking about number of valid tickets, right? You've got 1,000 paid tokens going to one valid ticket. When we first launched that IDO back in early March, I think we had 20 million paid tokens worth of participants. We're looking at 55 million. That is a massive, massive portion of the paid tokens that are circulating out there that are going through this lottery.
So here's some food for thought for all of you tuning in right now. It's pretty easy to do the calculations in your head. Right now, the current circulating supply of paid is 92 million. 92 million paid circulating. That means over half is being used or locked up right now, and it will be officially locked as soon as staking comes on board. But it's basically locked up and used just for ignition IDOs. And we have Apollo X launching in the beginning of July, and what we are now going to officially called Paid Network Asia, which will be the Asian or Chinese launchpad, also at the beginning of July. And they will require different staking contracts for you to participate on them. So if I want to participate on Apollo X and Ignition, I need to stake my tokens independently on each of them. So that means if Apollo X and Paid Network Asia happen to do half as well as Ignition, that should theoretically be all of the tokens that are in circulation used for the IDOs. Now, of course, there is a price at which people would like to sell their tokens at. They have in their mind their exit price, and therefore, but if it wasn't paid, if we weren't talking about paid, because if we were talking about paid, I'd probably get in trouble from the SEC or something for this whole broadcast. But if theoretically we're talking about a different project right now, I would just say that there's going to be so much demand for the token because we have these great new launch pads coming out. And by the way, we have some insane ideas on the strategy for token metrics and how we do the valuations of these projects that we believe will basically virtually eliminate the sell pressure from private investors because there really won't be any. And so we won't see these massive unlocks monthly or this continuous sell pressure on a day-to-day basis. And there will be ultra low market caps when they launch. And so we're excited. We think even not in this bear market, but even in this down market right now, we still feel like we can easily do launches that are getting 50, 100x, no problem. And we believe if this happens, Apollo X and Pay Network Asia should see a tremendous amount of demand. So speculation here, one would expect that's tremendous amount of demand for paid token within the next 3 weeks or so, and supply will not really increase. There will be one more increase in supply before then, but it will not be much. It's just I don't know what it is, but it's a small amount. So basically that is exciting too. I can't just blatantly say what's going to happen, but you guys are all pretty smart here watching. So that's that. Okay, so Ryan, maybe you could answer this question because I don't remember. This is a question. Hey, Kyle, is there any plan to allow those that store their paid token in my Ether wallet to participate in lotteries? Storing on Metamask for long periods isn't the safest.
I'm not 100% sure on this. You can use my Ether wallet through Metamask, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if not, we've got coming out soon. I don't know if this has been announced yet or not, but Wallet Connect integration coming soon to the platform on the next major update, which would be really good. We're going to see a lot of easier participation through various methods. So yeah, you should be able to already use my Ether wallet.
Yeah,
I think there is some functionality coming through some of these hard wallets. But I mean, once that software is built, I don't think there should be too much difficulty. But yeah, there's definitely going to be more adaptability. People are going to be able to connect their hard wallets through MetaMask and participate in these IDOs.
Yeah, sorry, just real quick back on what you were talking about before about the total circulating supply and current supply that's already being used on Ignition. I think one of the biggest points to speak about here as well is we've looked at a lot of the through this business analyst department, business intelligence, sorry. We've looked at the tokens that are held by various users and the distribution between who holds what type of amount of the supply, and a lot of people do hold less than 1,000 paid tokens and currently can't participate on Ignition, right? So when Apollo comes, you would imagine that a lot of that available circulating supply will be able to be locked up through platforms like Apollo X, which will help cater to smaller users.
I think that's a conversation worth piggybacking on. Ryan made a great point, and there is some really, really exciting conversations. And shout out to Willie and the Apollo X team.
Yep.
These guys are putting together some really innovative ideas, talking about things that have never been done before in the crypto space and putting that into use. I mean, we're talking about some groundbreaking updates coming, and I think it's going to be so much to gain for paid token holders from what they have to propose. And we're using some of this data to try and figure out how we can engage and also benefit every demographic of paid token holder, from people that hold under 1,000 paid tokens that are not able to participate in the normal lottery under paid Ignition, to all the way through to people that hold whatever number of tokens. And there's going to be multiple different ways to participate in Apollo X. It's going to be super exciting.
Yeah, for sure. I think they're being really flexible with the way they're doing the models, and still discussing, like you said, these innovative ways for people to be able to participate. So I don't think they're locking anyone into a set participation model. I think they're going to be really flexible in how they do it to make sure that everybody is able to participate.
Awesome. Okay, so I just touched on Parachain, but this question specifically asks about how it will affect the Parachain will affect the paid token usage and demand. So this is a great question, and I'm glad you asked it. So I can so it helps elaborate the value of Parachain being a layer 1 and having other dApps being built on top of it. So, you know, like I've told you guys before, we will always and forever continue to create new use cases for the paid token. Our goal, you know, none of us have any equity in paid. Paid doesn't have any equity, right? So, you know, our you know, how does someone get rewarded for building a decentralized blockchain project? Well, the team gets some of the economy, and if the team creates a product that is used, you know, around the world and is very, very successful, then they are rewarded, you know, in a very lucrative way, right? So, you know, we are working our ass off, and we want to make sure that that paid is used by, you know, millions or billions of people around the world, and always thinking of new ways to create demand for people to be holding paid tokens. So, how does Ethereum how is Ether used on the Ethereum blockchain? So, for example, you know, I want to send you 10 paid tokens. I need to have ETH in my wallet for gas. Essentially, it's the same thing. And this is another reason that we really wanted to have paid on a layer 1, because we want to go for that simplicity for people who are using the paid dApp that aren't from the crypto space, the people that are coming from the real estate industry or the medical industry or whatever, for them to be able to, you know, simply buy one paid token and know that that's what's used basically to pay for their agreements, you know, or to stake for their agreements, whatever, and they don't have to have a different token for gas. But people that will be building on Parachain will have to, their users will have to use paid as gas. And so every single project that comes to Parachain that builds their application using our infrastructure that we built, there will be little taxation on the ecosystem, and that will all be, you know, using paid. So imagine that these different dApps come and they start, you know, they become successful and start curating their own audiences of tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, even millions of people. Well, that means all of those people will have to be holding at least a little bit of paid to be able to process these transactions on those dApps. So that's basically, yeah, that's the token utility. Of course, you know, we can do a lot of interesting and creative things when you own the logic of your infrastructure, and we can do things like create gasless transactions for projects. Maybe, you know, instead of having all of the customers of the applications have to use paid for gas, we could just require the project itself to buy a bunch of paid and stake it to be using Parachain, and then that way their customers, to make their user experience better, they don't have to use any gas at all. We can do that in Substrate. That's awesome, right? So, you know, if I want to go build a DEX on Parachain, and I work it out with the paid guys that, you know, I'm just going to stake some paid, but my customers don't have to use gas, then it can be done. And now we have a gasless transactions. So there's a lot of flexibility and an innovation that can be done on a layer 1, and we're really excited about it. But we definitely, it's obvious. Every single project that launches on Parachain will increase demand for the paid token.
Yeah, on that point, I would recommend that people do look into Substrate blockchain development, right? Rust development. You know, the paid chain will essentially be able to use these high-level modules that provide functionality straight out of the box. Like if you want to implement governance or staking features, you throw that in with the module, and there you go, right? So then we can, and this is, I'm sure, is part of the paid ecosystem in the future. These, you know, governance models which increase a utility between these users to take part in having a say on you know, the direction of the project and how that paid token is used in the future.
I like seeing that comment you put right there, Kyle. I mean, you said it yourself, right? In the past 5 months or so, the number of use cases that are associated with a paid token have increased fourfold. And in a world of all these new investors coming from the stock market or wherever, people that are getting hyped up from crypto and seeing these big swings and how they can trade, how they can make money, or how they can invest, the use case of the token, I think, is one of the most important factors. And as time goes on, paid network proves time and time again that it pays to be a token holder. I'm going to go ahead and pat myself on the back for that pun.
Okay, Kyle, I want to hold good projects you mentioned, but since they dump, I am forced to sell at TGE, then buy again after a week or two. Is there a solution I want to hold? This is a great question, and I'm sure that you're not the only one who is thinking about this. We had a solution with a partnership that would have definitely helped here, depending on the market conditions. You know, basically what we want to do, and if Marta or Mark, specifically Mark, if you're watching this, but if Mark you're not, then please someone reach out to Mark. We need to go back to Evolution Finance and talk to Ben, because what the proposal was for a partnership was basically, let's say that you got 1,000 Octopus tokens or whatever in the last IDO, and you wanted to hold them, but you didn't have any more liquidity to participate in the next one. So what you could do, instead of having to sell them, you could lock them up as collateral and borrow like maybe 50 or 60, 70% of that value as a loan, DeFi product as a loan, and then use that money to invest in the next IDO, and so on and so forth. So I think this is a really good solution to this predicament that you're in. That's one of the ways that we could go about solving that. And hopefully, if the brainstorming that we have been doing on how to create these new ultra low market cap token economic models that we're creating, we really believe that you're going to see dramatically different launches, guys. And this is something that, like, you know, really got me fired up last week when we really started running through these things in our head, and it just seemed to solve all the problems. And that it made me really, really excited and put some more gas in my tank and got me fired up, because I have a really good feeling that the whole community is going to go wild and be super happy, because we can still perform exceptionally well even in a quiet or slow market. Whew. Man, I'll tell you what, banks are horrible, man. Like I you know, for any of you guys who know me, like I try to stay away from banks at all costs, and sometimes they're just unavoidable for now. And you know, so we're setting up this entity for House of DAO, you know, here with the Board of Investments in Thailand, and I had to go to a branch today. And so there's an area in the mall in Bangkok in Central Plaza where on like the 5th floor or something, all the bank branches are there. And so I walked up to the SCB branch where I was supposed to have this appointment, and I had to go sign a document, you know. And so it should theoretically, I mean, if you have to sign something on your MetaMask, it takes, you know, 15 seconds, right? So I went there, and of course I had to wait in the queue, and my number was like C037 or something. And when I looked at the screen, it was like C030, and I was like, oh, that's not too bad. It's 7 customers. It'll go by pretty quickly. And like 30 minutes passed, and that number didn't even change once. It was the same number. I started just like, and so I had to go like figure out what was going on, and then I looked at the other banks next to it, and huge queues in the lobbies over there. And I just was like, I went to the manager and I said, this is insane. Like, I can't believe that people come here every single day and spend an hour or 2 hours of their life sitting in your lobby waiting for you guys to serve them. Like, that is absolutely ludicrous. Right. I was about to lose my mind sitting there just thinking about how dare you take 2 hours of my life, so I could sign a freaking document. Like, it was unbelievable. So then I told the manager, I said, have you heard of Bitcoin? I said, no, I said, when it comes out, all this is going to go away. And yeah, that was my day today at the bank.
Yeah, it can be a horrible process, especially, can you imagine, like, it was hard for you sitting through that, but like the teller has to sit there and deal with like 400 people in that day. They got to sit there that whole day, and that can completely change, the attitude of anyone else who's involved in that line. Like, if the teller's having a bad day, like, they're going to make it difficult for you as well. So it's best to just, skip that whole process and just deal straight with a smart contract.
Yeah, man, it's. I mean, I talked about this on Crypto Connoisseurs the other night. Like, I really believe that banks are quickly on their way out the door. Even if they try to adapt and try to offer crypto custody and stuff, it's not going to happen in 5 years or 10 years. But I think that, like, the people who the kids who are born today will never have a bank account. Yep. And probably the kids 10 years of age and under today will never have a bank account.
You're feeling threatened. It's antiquated, like the typewriter. I had to send a wire transfer the other day to somebody, and I had to send it through a bank. The wire transfer itself takes 2 days, but I had a typo in the address, so it was rejected. And then that took an extra day, and then another 2 days to send the new one. I mean, even if you send like a test transaction, like, hey, I'm going to send you $1 worth of Ethereum, just let me know if you get it. Or I'm going to send you like $1 and however many cents, like, verify. It's still, it's 30 minutes versus 5 days of a transaction.
Yeah.
And these old systems are going to go away.
I literally just probably identical to the timing of you, also had a wire rejected, and 3-4 days later. It's just ridiculous, man. So antiquated.
Yeah, nice. Lunatics. Get ready to stake that on the platform.
Yeah. Gonna see some nice rewards.
Staking should be out soon, right? I don't know if we've given a specific time frame or what, but I think the last news that I heard was the auditing was done, yeah?
Yeah, the dev team, they're working on, 17 different projects simultaneously, but these guys are working nonstop. They're hopefully it's out soon, but a lot of things to come. And from that dev call yesterday, very excited to hear about the progress of some of this stuff.
Yeah, and to give some more color about why the staking is taking so long, because you can easily look at a project that just launched their IDO, or public sale, and they already have staking options, and these staking contracts are very, very different than the ones we're building. Ours need to have a lot of functionality integrated into our lottery system and our back end, to make it all work together, right? So there's a lot that we had to do in a custom way. They're not standard staking contracts. And we also need to make sure that the audits are really, really thorough, considering it's going to be a lot of value locked in these contracts. So, but I can't wait for them to be done, because finally Paid will be able to market our total value locked. And my guess is that by the end of July we'll have at least $100 million in TVL, and that's really exciting. And then, I mean, I should say 100 million tokens locked. So, and like, if you were catching the drift of what I said earlier, maybe that's $500 million of TVL. So that's exciting.
Yeah, super exciting.
Someone asked about, do we think that IDOs are the thing of the past? No, not at all. If you're listening to what we're saying about this new methodology that we're trying to push out to our projects, I really think that it solves the biggest problems with the way that projects raise money from, most of you guys watching the retail market. I think the only people that likes VCs are VCs, and why? Because, everyone knows that they dump on projects. And so if we can just eliminate all that, and which this model does, and eliminates all that sell pressure and starts with a really, really low market cap. So all of you guys do really, really well. IDOs will not be a thing of the past. They will be just as exciting as the day they got started. And that's why I'm really looking forward to July, because I think that it'll get a whole new breath of fresh air.
Yeah. I mean, they just change. The market moves in different directions, and things improve and go from there. No way IDOs are a thing of the past.
No, I mean, that's like a really powerful vehicle to raise money for these companies. And I mean, that's a really valid question too, because there's such a saturation of these other launch pads that are launching as many IDOs as they possibly can. And there are so many different companies, there are so many different projects that have the same idea, essentially, they're trying to come to market. But, one of the things that we all believe in is Kyle and his ability and his team's ability to identify these projects that are going to add real value. And I think, personally, that's one of the things that I look for as how I came into blockchain is, I come from the world of traditional investing in stock market. Where's the value? Where's the value they can take from the total market, the total available market? What kind of technology is going to be applied outside of the world of crypto into like traditional industries that they can fill gaps or fill, areas that aren't being addressed, or maybe improve things. And I think that's what our team is doing. We're looking for different projects that can really solve problems here from a long-term perspective. So not only are they good short-term holds, but they're fantastic long-term holds. In a sea of launch pads and a sea of IDOs, I think, Paid tends to stand out. Ignition tends to stand out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we have strict vetting that we go through for a lot of these projects, and it's only tightening up further as we go to make sure that we squeeze value out of them, and bring the best projects to the community. I can just see IDOs improving from here. It's just only going to get better. Like, market will turn, guaranteed.
It comes down to efficiency, right?
Yeah.
The market is so dynamic, you guys. Like, 1 week it's NFTs, and then it's this, and then it's that, and blah blah blah. And and as it evolves, like, everybody needs to be dynamic and evolving with the market. If you sleep or you're static, you're going to get crushed. And this is what we're always trying to do is just evolve with the market. I just want to. We're almost done, you guys, but I just want to answer a couple questions here. Jagdish, if I become a crypto millionaire, do you recommend shifting to Thailand? Can pay tax to my government. Can't pay. Yeah. Well, I don't know what he means by I can't. I'm not a tax advisor. But well, on to the other things. First of all, you don't have to become a crypto millionaire. In fact, being in an environment like House of DAO would far more likely increase your chances of getting to that state, because you will be surrounded by a bunch of brilliant minds in crypto, and you can collaborate and feed off each other. That's the whole idea of House of DAO, is that if you're sitting back home right now, you don't have people around you that are more senior than you, that have been in the space for a long time, that have their networks that you can feed off of. You don't have that at home. But if you are at House of DAO and you wake up in the morning and you go get coffee, and there's 5 people around you that are all in this space, you can have those conversations and get to know them. So you are far more likely to succeed, being in surrounding yourself in an environment of a lot of other high value people that you can feed off of. And that's really exciting. So like, I mean, guys, I have spent the last almost 4 years of my life trying to build this village, House of DAO, because I'm so sure that so many of you will find tremendous value from being in it, that it will be incredibly successful and everybody will want to be there. We did the proof of concept in 2018 and it was hugely successful. Projects were born, incubated, people got married. I mean, it was, partnerships were forged. It was very beneficial, and it was far less like organized and frankly just very, very newbie, like novice compared to what we're going to be doing now. So 100% very, very excited about it. And and Sven, just thank you for reminding me just to continue my rant about the banks for a second, man. those wire transactions that were then sent, and then whenever they decided later to tell me that it was rejected, like 3 days later, let's tack on an extra like 4 days, because the first time I tried to send it, it was like after bank hours or something, and so I couldn't send it in the app, and Lord knows why. And then the next time I tried to send it, because I forgot, like 2 days later, it was a bank holiday, and then it was the weekend, and then finally I sent it, and then it was rejected, and then I went to go send it again today, and then it was after bank hours, and it was just ridiculous. So crypto never sleeps. Banks are closed on the weekends, bank holidays, after hours is ridiculous.
Shout out to Sven. I like that profile photo. Get paid to travel.
Yeah, right. Actually, further shout out to Sven, Sergey, Gene Flip, Hodlrex, the guys in the community, top rep contributors, Adwi. Yeah, these guys are really great participation and assistance.
Yeah. Yeah, Paul, exactly. It's just like, I mean, you guys will not believe the amount of mistakes, that we all had to make back in, the early days, 2012 and 13 and 14. There was no guides on how to set up a wallet. There was no security protocols that you could follow. It was the wild, wild, wild west, where like you just had to figure things out as you went. And after you got hacked, then you learned what not to do at that point. There was no media sites that talked about Bitcoin. Really, it was no influencers or KOLs who were telling you what to do. It was very, 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 very difficult. And it took a lot longer to figure things out. So yeah, I mean, Paul, we all made a lot of mistakes, but again, I feel if you really want to dedicate, your career or your life to being full-time in crypto, surround yourself by like-minded individuals and put yourself full immersion inside of that environment. And it's going to, be such a smoother path and much more accelerated.
Yeah, you're kind of immersing yourself in that lifestyle. If you move into an area where everyone's talking about crypto all the time, there are ideas flowing and opportunities bountiful left and right.
Yeah, there's a lot to learn from each other. A lot of people come from different backgrounds, but they're all interested in the same thing. So there's a lot of value to bring.
Okay, guys, we're going to wrap it up. Ryan or Sasha, you have anything else to add?
Yeah, you go.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Do it.
Go ahead, man.
Yeah, no, I'm just looking forward to the products that we're releasing shortly and the updates that are coming to Ignition, PoloX, Paid Network Asia. I think everyone should just keep involved, keep watching our socials and stay up to date, because there's a lot of great updates coming. I know a lot of people have been waiting for specific features to come out, and they are going to be out very soon.
Yeah. Also, yep, I agree with Ryan 100%. With this PoloX launch, the business intelligence department, we're doing some very exciting things, looking at some different bits of data and trying to figure out how we could engage everybody, benefit everybody, everyone in the paid ecosystem, right? On top of that, we're forging some strong partnerships with some of the different projects that we're launching, some of the different projects that we are in talks of launching, and trying to figure out how we can improve their launch experience and make it better for everyone involved. Everyone that's interested in either participating in the IDO or being a long-term token holder or purchasing after the IDO, anyone that's interested in investing. So lots of exciting things to come. And I can genuinely say I think we're doing some very exciting things and some very innovative things that other launch pads have not even thought of yet. So, we are on the frontier of this, and that's super cool.
I couldn't log out without addressing this comment here. If college diploma is expensive, oh man, experience is so much more expensive, but it can lead to success. To the moon. So if you watch like the earliest days of my YouTube channel, when no one did, because those videos have like 100 views or something. But I talk about the fact that I believe, that there really is, for most people, college or university probably is unnecessary. I think there are certain occupations or certain personality types. Like, let's say that you don't have the willpower to be self-educated or self-taught, then maybe that type of environment is best for you. Or maybe it's some type of like art class or interactive class where it's much more beneficial to be fully engaged. But the first kind of thing about people not being able to be, the willpower to be self-engaged, well, I think that comes from a lack of interest when someone's learning about something, right? So I really didn't like to pay attention in school too much when I was forced to learn things I didn't want to. But after school, when I wanted to learn about things that were interesting to me, I just ate it up and just binged on learning about these topics because it's what I wanted to learn about, And so, these are all philosophies that, we're kind of baking in the House of DAO village ethos. I mean, I'm not going to say don't go to university or start. I mean, I will tell my kids not to do it, but I wouldn't. Well, I just don't think that you need to be wasting your money on it because right now you have unlimited access to all the knowledge of the world basically on the internet for a fraction of the cost. You're not going to have the debt. You can accelerate your path to success, to financial freedom by bypassing all the unnecessary information that you have to learn at college or university and just go straight to the information that you need to know for what you're trying to do. So, anyway, I just, a little bit, because I didn't go to university, and I think that I ended up, quite all right. And I learned, I always learn, by passion. Passion gave me that fuel to learn what I wanted to learn about. And I think that that's true for most people. So, and then I hear all these stories about people and their student debt, and it's just horrible. It's just horrible to put a kid that's 18 years old in an environment where it's just the norm to go and get yourself in $250,000 of debt or something. And then the message is basically to go through college, get a ton of debt, and then go get yourself a job as an intern or something. We're not making any money. You're barely making enough money to like pay your rent and stuff. And then, and then you kind of get your entry level job somewhere and you're still barely making rent, and it takes you years to work your way up that ladder. You're not paying up back your student debt until you're like 10 years after school or something. You're starting to pay it back at that point quite well because you worked your way up the corporate ladder. Instead, be an entrepreneur and, like find an opportunity that gives you, a way to be successful, and like, I know that, we've implemented that within Paid Network and Master Ventures. Everyone on the team is quite, independent and has an entrepreneurial spirit. And, but nonetheless, anyway, I'm just going off on a little life rant here about, philosophy and things like that. But anyway, okay, guys, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. Ryan, Sasha, thanks for joining me tonight.
Thanks, man.
Bye-bye,
Thanks
everybody.
for joining in. See you guys.
Thanks for watching, guys.